Let's go race, the channel for virtual motorsport.
Hello and welcome to a new video on my YouTube channel. First an Info to my German-speaking viewers. Dieses Video ist auch mit deutschem Kommentar verfügbar. Der Link zum deutschsprachigen Video findet ihr in der Videobeschreibung. This video is about the REXING GT TIMUN Sim Racing steering wheel. First, I will show you the steering wheel in detail in this video. I will talk about the individual components that are included in the package, say something about the materials and explain how the steering wheel feels. After that, I will make a conclusion about the steering wheel. And at the end of the video, I will do a test drive with the steering wheel in form of my triple screen onboard videos in my motion simulator. The package includes the steering wheel, a USB cable, a sticker kit, mounting screws, nuts and washers to screw the steering wheel to your steering system. Let's start with the materials and the technical data of the steering wheel. The steering wheel weighs 1150 grams. The steering wheel has a diameter of 320 mm and is flattened at the bottom. In the grip area of the steering wheel, the grips are 42 by 26 mm thick at the thickest point. The Alcantara covered steering rim offers a lot of grip. The notches in the grip area and the oval design of the grip area of 42 by 26 mm also make the steering wheel feel very good in the hand. The quality of the leather is excellent and the seams and transitions have been beautifully finished. The housing of the steering wheel is made entirely of carbon. The front forms a smooth and matte carbon plate, and the back was made with an epoxy composite. The carbon back of the case has a glossy and smooth surface. The case really looks incredibly good and the build quality is on the highest level. Now we move on to the buttons, the multi-switches and the rotary switches. The steering wheel has 10 push buttons. The button caps are all plastic. Every single push button is illuminated and had its predefined color. The colors cannot be changed, but you can change the brightness of the push buttons. In addition, you can assign certain flashing signals to the illumination of the push buttons. The configuration of the illuminated buttons works with SimHub or SimDash. More about this later in the video. The push buttons can also be personalized with the included sticker kit. The buttons have a single resistance point. The resistance point of the buttons is very tight, can be felt very well and also only has a short push travel. The buttons also make a really nice and audible click noise when pressed. In summary, the push buttons feel extremely good and tight and provide very good feedback. The aluminium button guards have a matte and smooth surface and contribute positively to the overall appearance of the steering wheel. The guards do not interfere with the operation of the buttons, so the height is very well chosen. Now we continue with the two rotary switches at the bottom of the steering wheel. Both rotary switches have 16 positions in which they engage. On the PC, the rotary switches are each recognized with two signals. Turning clockwise is a function and turning anti-clockwise is a function. Both rotary switches can be turned infinitely. The resistance of the rotary switches is very tight and the engagement points can be felt very well. Furthermore, the rotary switches are very large and can thus be gripped very well with two fingers. The somewhat arrow-shaped rotary switches are made of anodized aluminium and have a matte and smooth surface. The rotary switches look very good and are very well made. Above the two rotary switches, there are two position rotary switches. Both rotary switches have 8 positions that can be configured. The rotary switches engage noticeably in each of the 8 positions. The resistance and the noticeably of the engagement points are the same as with the two rotary switches below. The rotary knobs are the same as the two rotary switches. As you can see, the rotary switches cannot be turned infinitely. If you are at position 1 on the left side, you have to turn clockwise to get to position 8. Here you can configure the motor mapping by assigning a different motor mapping to each position. The right position rotary switch is also reserved for the steering wheel lighting settings. Here you can either adjust the brightness of the push buttons or the brightness of the LEDs on the side of the dashboard. For which of the two settings you want to use the switch can be set in the SimHub software. But you can also disable this function in the SimHub software so that you can use the position rotary switch for a function in the simulation like the switch on the left side. Now we come to the two rotary switches on the side of the case. The two rotary switches have 16 positions in which they engage very noticeably. The resistance of the rotary switches is also very high, like that of the other rotary switches, and they look very qualitative. Because of the ribbed shape of the knobs have a lot of grip and you can adjust them precisely with your thumb. The aluminium knobs are matte black and have a smooth surface. Now we come to the two multi-switch joysticks. Here we have 7 functions. The first function is the push function. Here the joystick works like a push button. The push button function is very tight, has only one resistance point, has a short push travel, and makes a nice and well audible click noise. In addition, the joystick can be pressed left, up, right and down. The resistance of the 4-way function is tight and very good to feel. The click noise can also be heard very well here. The operation of the 4-way function is extremely good and works great. It is often the case with such joysticks that it is difficult to press in a certain direction. This is completely different here. Just because you press the joystick a bit crooked, you don't have to worry about pressing the joystick in the wrong direction. The guidance of the 4-way function is very precise and straight. The joystick can also be used as a rotary switch. The rotary switch function has 30 positions in which it engages. On the PC, the rotary switch function is recognized with two signals. Turning clockwise is a function and turning anti-clockwise is a function. The rotary switch function is infinitely rotatable. The rotary switch function engages noticeably in each of the 30 positions. The resistance and the engagement of the individual positions is very tight. However, the resistance is not quite as high as with the large rotary switches. But because the joystick is also significantly smaller, it was a good decision to not make it quite as tight as the large rotary switches. The joystick knob is made of aluminium, is matte black anodized and has a smooth surface. On the knob are small notches which make turning with two fingers very easy. In summary, the joystick is a very good and helpful function with which you can, for example, navigate in the menu, navigate in the pit menu during the race, or also make settings in the iRacing black box. Now to the most striking area on the front, the dashboard and the RGB LEDs. The dashboard is a 4.3-inch USB-D 480 LCD display that is compatible with the most telemetry software available, such as SimHub, SimDash, Dash Panel, Z1 Dashboard and many more. 11 RGB LEDs above the dashboard and 3 additional RGB LEDs on each side give you even more information. These RGB LEDs can all be changed in color and brightness with the right software. I use SimHub, but SimDash also works. Using the SimHub software, I will now demonstrate the dashboard first. To do this, I first start SimHub. Once the steering wheel is set up, which I have already done, the steering wheel will automatically detect SimHub and load your settings. Under Devices, you can then select the steering wheel to make your settings. Under the LCD tab, you can then configure the settings for the 4.3-inch dashboard. For example, how many frames the display should run with, how bright the display should be, and which dashboard you want to use. Under the LEDs tab, we can make settings for the RGB LEDs and the illuminated buttons in SimHub. Here, we can change the brightness of the RGB LEDs. Here, we can change the brightness of the push buttons and set when and how the illumination of the buttons should work, or turn off the illumination completely. In the lower area, we can make settings for the already mentioned right position rotary switch. Here, we can set whether the rotary switch is responsible for the RGB LEDs or for the illumination of the buttons. Here, we can also set that the position rotary switch is not responsible for either of the two functions. So you could assign a function to it in the simulation, like the motor mapping. Under Edit Profiles, we can configure our LEDs as we like. We can assign functions, colors, and flashing signals to the LEDs as we wish. There is a wide range of functions available in SimHub. The set functions can also be tested directly. If you set the illumination of the buttons in SimHub to advanced, you can make the same settings as for the RGB LEDs for the buttons. You cannot change the color, but you can assign certain flashing signals to the buttons. Like for example, that the button of the pit speed limiter starts blinking when the pit speed limiter is activated. Or also flashing signals regarding the DRS system. There's also a large number of functions available here. The set functions can then also be tested directly in SimHub. With the settings you can make for the dashboard, the RGB LEDs and the buttons, many things are made easier in the race. You get a lot of information directly displayed via the indicators and flashes. These functions are really helpful and also look extremely good. The maximum adjustable brightness of the buttons and the LEDs is very good and you can see them very well. To see the illumination of the buttons in daylight, you have to set them to full brightness. Also, the colors of the RGB LEDs are one-to-one as shown in the software. Moving on to the back. On the back are the two magnetic shifters. The two magnetic shifters are made of aluminium and have a matte black and smooth surface. The two pedals are made of a 3mm thick carbon plate. The shifter and the pedals are both not adjustable, but the pedal shifters covers a large grip area with their size and are easy to reach from many positions. The shifters really feel extremely good. The shift travel is short and the shifters have a very strong resistance. The shifters also make a very nice and audible click noise. On the back of the steering wheel is the matching 4-pin socket to the 4-pin plug on the cable. At the socket is also a small pin so that the plug cannot be inserted incorrectly into the socket. The steering wheel is connected to the PC via a USB cable. The included USB spiral cable is about 51 cm long, but can be pulled a little longer because of the spiral shape. The plug sits very tightly and firmly in the socket and looks very high quality. The cable will then be screwed to the socket with the retaining ring and is then secured. To use the power of the steering wheel, a USB hub with power supply is required. To attach the steering wheel to your steering system, on the back is this mounting adapter. The adapter is made entirely of aluminium and matte black anodized. As you can see, you have with this adapter the possibility of using different mounting variants. We can use the 50mm variant and the 70mm variant. Each variant can be attached with 3 screws. The screws, washers and lock nuts for mounting on the quick release are also already included. That's all there is to say about the steering wheel. Now we come to the final conclusion and the cost of the steering wheel. The REXING GT TIMUN steering wheel costs €1,775 including VAT within the EU. Without VAT it costs €1,420 plus the VAT of the respective country. The quality of the steering wheel is unbelievably good. The workmanship of the housing and the steering rim are almost perfect. The steering wheel feels very good in the hand, and because of the Alcantara steering rim, it offers a lot of grip. The buttons, rotary switches and multi-switches are of the highest quality. You not only have a very high number of functions all offer a high resistance, well audible and noticeable click points and actuation feedback. In addition, all functions are very easy to reach. With the colorfully illuminated and configurable buttons, you have a few options here to display different things. And it also looks great. The dashboard in combination with the RGB LEDs looks great and offers many functions. The resolution is very good and the colors of the dashboard and the LEDs are also very good. With a large number of compatible softwares, you can choose which software you want to use for the dashboard. For the LEDs, as well as the illuminated buttons, you can use SimHub or SimDash for example. Both are working simultaneously with softwares which do not offer the configuration of buttons and LEDs. Also, the two magnetic shifter pedals prove the best quality. Very good workmanship, strong resistance and a well audible and noticeable feedback when pressing. In summary, you get with the REXING GT TIMUN a steering wheel in the highest quality in all areas, a beautiful appearance and many functions. Also the fact that there are almost no GT steering wheels with dashboard and LEDs makes the steering wheel even more unique. Here you really get something very unique for your money, and I can highly recommend the steering wheel and I am very satisfied with it. I hope you enjoyed the video and was able to answer all your questions. If you have any further questions, please write them into the comments. A link to all packages is also in the video description. Now we come to the promised triple screen onboard video in my motion simulator. Have fun with it and see you next time.